Hello, welcome to my walking tour of the Matrix Online's MegaCity. So I'm going to take you through a bunch of the famous film locations from the Matrix movies as depicted in the Matrix Online. So for those of you who don't know, the Matrix Online was a MMORPG set inside the Matrix universe and designed as kind of a continuation of the stories from the three Matrix films. So obviously that involved recreating the giant megalopolis that was depicted in the Matrix films, called MegaCity. And that also involved, obviously, recreating some of the famous landmarks from those films. So that's what we're going to have a little tour on today. There's not many of them, but the ones that they do have are pretty cool. So, without further ado, we're going to take this hard line here to go to our first landmark, which is in the Westview district, specifically Stamos Northwest. So I'm playing this on a emulated version of the Matrix Online servers. It's a fan project because the Matrix Online closed down years and years and years ago at this point. So a group of dedicated fans has tried to get kind of a private version of the Matrix servers going, and I think they've done a pretty good job. Functionality is very limited. There's no combat, very little in the way of things you could buy, very little in the way of things that you can do. But you can talk to each other, you can interact with each other, and you can explore the city more or less in its entirety. So I'm very grateful to whoever's responsible for this project. Now the first landmark is just around the corner here, and it should be instantly recognizable to anyone who's seen the films. The Heart of the City Hotel. From the very first Matrix movie, the very first scene of the first Matrix movie. This is where Trinity gets ambushed by agents and the cops, the feds, as she's placing a call to Cypher about having found Neo, the One. I say that the Heart of the City Hotel is a landmark here. Really, the landmark is just the sign, because as you'll see, there's really nothing else about this building that sort of looks like the building depicted in the Matrix movies. But I guess they do capture a general kind of aesthetic. And which, you know, of all the things that the Matrix Online did wrong, I think they did do a pretty good job of capturing the overall vibe of the Matrix, that sort of seedy underbelly vibe that they have going on, particularly in these early scenes. And one of the best things about the Matrix Online is any building you see, you can go into. You can go to pretty much any floor inside that building. Not a lot to find there, but does add a certain sense of immersion. So, anyway, let's go inside. I mean, disgusting. If you'd booked a room here and you walked in and saw this lobby, you'd just walk back out. You'd sleep on the streets. Receptionist NPCs here. Oh, but that's bacon. That's a bit of early 2000s humor for you. Why did everybody love bacon so much? I don't know. Poughkeepsie was never like this. No, I imagine not. But yeah, I mean, as I said, there's really nothing here recognizable from the films except a kind of general seedy vibe. But I'll take you on a couple of floors anyway, just so you get an idea of what this building's like in-game. So I think there's only a couple of variations of the floor plan for each floor. You can see here, fairly typical. One cool thing about being able to go into every floor of every building is you could also like look out the windows onto the activity in the street below, which when this place was populated with players and things going on, that was actually pretty cool. It did give you a sense that this was like a city where you could explore every nook and cranny of it. Pretty barren now, but I always liked that. And I did check, and I am almost certain there's no room anywhere in this building that looks like that room that Trinity makes her call to Cypher from, where she gets confronted by those agents and you get that first great like waifu scene. But you can still kind of see that some of the character from the hotel depicted in the films has survived to make it here. I think they did a pretty decent job of capturing the dilapidated vibe of the one depicted in the films. Just take you to another floor just so you can see maybe the variation of the floor plans, and then we'll head to the roof because that plays a pretty big role in this part of the movie. 7, yeah, see, slightly different, very strangely laid out hotel. I don't know if the designers of this game have ever been inside a hotel, but the floor plan's very weird. I mean, terrible use of square footage. It's almost Silent Hill-esque, actually. Reminds me of the Woodside Apartments from Silent Hill 2. I mean, these rooms are just getting worse. These ones don't even have any windows in them. Right. But I mean, a lot of the buildings in this game are like this. Once you've seen one floor, you've kind of seen them all. Well, still, it's cool. Right, so normally you can access the roof of buildings from the very top floor of them. Not in this case. This is just more rooms, so we'll go back to the lobby and go to street level. Actually, see this little green section on the map back here. Is there anything significant? No, absolutely nothing significant at all. It is just a box. Very good. Right, but hey, this is the Matrix after all. We should be hyper jumping everywhere anyway, so let's do that here. Oh, don't tell me I've overshot it. No. And from up here, you can kind of get a glimpse of just what a shithole this section of the city is. Again, nothing really recognizable from the films up here, which is a bit strange because such a huge part of the sequence from the movies does take place on the rooftops. But hey, whatever. It's a very cool sign, and I'll take it. That is Heart of the City. Very cool to come across as a player when you're not expecting it. I think it's just a nice touch that they included this sort of thing. I mean, they had to have known players would try and seek them out, so good on them. Right. I'm going to hit our walking tour in terms of order of appearance in the films. Obviously, Heart of the City Hotel first. Our next destination, maybe that's a clue, maybe you can guess where we're headed now, but we're heading to the downtown district, which is kind of the office district of the MegaCity. Again, that's a pretty big clue. You can probably guess what it is we're going to go and check out now. Hit this hard line. Again, I just love the sound design of this game is good. That is one thing that they did really well. They really nailed it. Everything sounds very Matrixy. But yes, we're going downtown. We're going to use the Morel South hardline. Another nice little point of authenticity as the environment's like loading in. Everything displays as Matrix code. I just think that's such a cool touch. Really does make it feel like you're jacking into the Matrix. You can tell, at least from like an art design point of view, this was made by some people who took the Matrix movies quite seriously. But just around this corner, you may have already guessed where we're headed. Metacortex. This is, of course, the place of employment for Mr. Thomas Anderson, Neo, at the start of that first film. It's where the Matrix come to confront him. The agents, rather. What is that? An agent just floating up there. So you're going to notice on this walking tour that any location of note, like Metacortex, whoever's made this private iteration of the Matrix has just filled these locations with random NPCs. It's why agents are absolutely everywhere. In the live version of the game, agents were actually pretty rare. They'd only turn up if you were in an area that you were under-leveled for. If you spent too long in one of those areas, eventually, like, one of the pedestrians would just turn into an agent, and they would kill you immediately. And they're all over leveled if I remember correctly. Like the max level in the Matrix Online was 50. You can see these agents, yeah, 52, 53, 49. I could kick his ass. Don't ask me what the angels are for. I really don't know. I think they must have been introduced in an update after I stopped playing. But there you have it, yeah. The Metacortex building. It's very true to the films. I think they've done a really good job here. Now, unlike almost every other building in the game, this one you can only really visit the first floor. There's no elevators, which is very strange. But I guess it's because the shape of the building is so non-standard that they didn't want to create like a bespoke floor plan that contorted to the shape of the building, which is understandable, I guess, but still disappointing. So you go through here. Weirdly, there's just another lobby stapled onto the back of that front lobby. Little storage area. But yeah, there's nothing really else of note here. Building security, I guess, if Thomas Anderson decides to come back to clean out his locker or something. Nothing else of note here, really, though. I wonder... These statues are very distinctive. I wonder if they appear in any other buildings in the downtown district, or if that's specific to Metacortex. I don't know. Now, we should be able to jump up to the roof, but I don't imagine that there's anything of note up here. I mean, downtown, I think, is my favorite district in the game. There's something about the architecture that really feels very Matrix-y to me. And again, every floor of all these buildings you can go to. There's nothing much to find once you get there, but in theory, you can visit every floor, which is quite cool. Who's this? This guy isn't even on the map. Daniel Cates, collector. Can't interact with them. Most of the NPCs in this private emulation you can't interact with, but some of them you can. And we'll just have a look. I don't think we're going to be able to get into the building. Yeah, it's just a wall texture. So I think that a lot of the interior generation of these buildings was handled server-side. Is that a thing? I'm not a very technical person, I don't know. But I think a lot of like the generation of the interiors of these buildings did happen like on the server end. And so with this private emulation, a lot of that stuff is lost and I guess has just been replaced by these placeholder textures. Which is a shame, but I have checked and a lot of the interiors are still accessible, so I'm not really sure why some are and some aren't accessible, but there you have it. Other than that, not really much else to see. Let's jump off the top of this building like any good white-collar drone. Get a good look at the Metacortex text. Oh, boom. Not the first person to make that jump, and I'm sure I won't be the last. There you are. Metacortex. Very cool. Now, there is another location that we're going to visit later in the tour that's kind of close to here, but I'm going to stick to our chronological order here and head back to a hardline and take us to our next landmark, which is one of my personal favorites, I think. Maybe because it's very close to the starting area in the game. So it's one of the first areas that people would have really seen from the movies. And to me, it's probably the most faithfully recreated location for the movies, as you're about to see. Well, let's get to this hard line. Turn on super speed. Oh, what am I talking about? No, we are going to go to the other location in the downtown district. That does come next in the movies. What am I thinking? But we do need to go to a different hardline, which is in Park East Central, I think. Park East Central. Right, so we're going into what must be the tallest building in the entire game. I don't know that for sure, but I think these towers are the tallest buildings that you can get to in the game. And this is where we're going. I don't think that you'll recognize this purely from the exterior. I don't think it looks all that much like the building depicted in the movie, but you may have guessed where we're headed already, but we won't know until we head into the lobby. Just go past these white security trainees. Don't know what their race has to do with it, but fine. Into the government lobby! You must recognize this from the end of the first Matrix film, where Trinity and Neo go to try and rescue Morpheus from the clutches of the agents. They go through this famous metal detector here and basically murder all of the poor NPCs that dare get in their way, just trying to earn a paycheck as security at this government building. This, I think, is a pretty good recreation of the space. It's not exact. I think like some of the sizes are kind of off. I don't think these side corridors were there in the films, but I could be wrong about that. But by and large, it's unmistakable that this is the lobby, the famous lobby from the first Matrix film. We are going to take the elevator up, but first let's just check out these side corridors. I seem to remember that it was established early on in the Matrix Online lore that the machines, after the events of the first movie, recoded this whole building so that only the lobby remains. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember how they communicate this to the player, but I do have that filed away, that it is established that the machines basically overwrit this building. And made it so only the lobby remains, the rest of it is unrecognizable. Maybe that was their way out of having to design the upper floors to make them recognizable to the movies. I don't know. Very weird that we've got this other lobby back here. I mean, you have one entrance which is just heavily fortified with armed security, but you can just waltz in the back door and skip the metal detectors entirely. No wonder Trinity got in to help Neo without anybody noticing. But let's go to the upper floors. So yeah, again, we're not going to recognize anything on any of these other floors. Oh, you can't even access them. We have this wall texture again. Although I do remember, from when I was playing this when it was live, you would have these buildings that had lots and lots of floors, and many of them were like very limited, like this. I think they'd only spawn the floor if you had a reason to go there, like a mission or something. But there would still be just the odd floor that you could access and explore. So we'll just try a few. I'm sure that some of these will have more to it than just the wall texture. Yeah, here we go, 52. You can see on the map here there's more to this one. Ugh, I mean, kind of gross and barren. Just I hate how big all these corridors are. Ugh. It's like the back rooms, isn't it? I guess this does look kind of officey, like where Morpheus was being held by the agents. And again, the windows, you can look out at any point, just down at the happenings on the street below, although we're way too high up to even see the skyline properly. I'm not going to bore you by taking you through all these rooms. Just want to kind of show you what is included in this space. Not very much, as you can see. If you want to play it being an office worker, I guess this will be of interest of you. Otherwise, there's not really any reason to go here. But let's go check out the roof, because that does play a big role in this building in the movies. And as you'll see, sadly, it looks nothing like the rooftop from that famous scene where Trinity and Neo fight the agent. Neo does his bullet time. They steal a helicopter. Nothing. Pretty barren. Wouldn't have cost them much to just put a helipad up here or something, would it? I don't know. I know nothing about game development. I can't criticize anybody. See, it's one of those collectors, the Omega. You have accepted the Matrix in the most obvious sense. You'd have drowned in your pod if you hadn't. But have you accepted the Matrix as it is, for what it is? Are you willing to live in this massive, flawed simulation, or are you simply looking for a way out? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they tried to keep a very Matrix-y kind of philosophical vibe to the storytelling in this game. I know The Riders was a famous comic book writer, but for me it just never really hit the highs that the Matrix films did. It all felt a little bit forced. But, whatever. It's an MMORPG. I mean, it's not like I was expecting much. Nothing really to do up here, so maybe we should just do the mandatory long jump from the top. See how long it takes us to reach the bottom. I mean, you can't even really see any of the city from up here. Woo! God, that's such a long way. Ooh, we're back. There you have it, the government building from the first Matrix film. And that is the last location from the first Matrix film that we'll be visiting. There really is something Matrixy about this district. I don't know, just something about kind of the endlessly repeated sheeny office blocks that I find very, very appropriate to the setting. Right. Let's get this hardline and get out of here. So next we're going to Richland, which is the starting section of the Matrix MMO. And specifically we're going to Mara Central, which anyone that has played The Matrix Online will recognize this place, probably have very fond memories of it. This is kind of like where everybody congregated. I wasn't around when The Matrix Online first started, so I can't really speak to why this became like the de facto meeting area, but I mean, you can see whoever has made this emulation has filled it with static NPCs, I guess, just to reflect that. Including little Sati from the films. Remember Sati? She was the daughter of that exile program that Neo meets in the train station. I can't remember why he was even in that train station. But, yeah. Anyway, right, Mara Central. Our next location, our next landmark on our MegaCity walking tour is Debir Court, which is the site of the Burly Brawl from The Matrix Reloaded. So if you don't know, the Burly Brawl was, it's that scene where Neo and Seraph go to meet the Oracle. And after this meeting with the Oracle, Neo's ambushed by Agent Smith and dozens of copies of himself. It's when Neo realizes, oh, Smith can replicate himself. Very famous, or infamous if you really hate those films, fight scene. But here we are. And it's instantly recognizable, I think. Of all the landmarks they've taken from the films, I think this is probably the most well realized. You know, down to just that like yellow brick building on either side of the court. It all just feels very authentic, immediately identifiable. You know exactly where you are from the films. They've even got this little, I don't know, maintenance shack, whatever this is supposed to be, which is how Neo and Seraph arrive. They walk out through this door and meet the Oracle on this little bench here. One of the best things about The Matrix Online was it had a live events team, so after launch, the developers, or I don't know if it was staff specifically hired for this purpose, but they'd log in as characters from the movies and just kind of go around interacting with players. You know, sometimes they'd approach, I think, like prominent factions or guilds for meetings and kind of role play as the characters a little bit. Very fun. And I think, this never happened to me, but I'm sure that I heard that sometimes players that would just come to this court and just sit down and just take a moment to themselves, sometimes, you know, the developers would notice that and just kind of log in as the Oracle, and you'd get to have your own private little meeting with the Oracle. Just such a cool idea. It makes me a bit sad that the MMO never really took off, never really went anywhere. And of course, this live events team was the first thing to get axed when it became clear that the MMO was failing, but I think it's what really set it apart from other MMOs. Definitely kept me coming back. The gameplay was super stale, but just the idea that you could like meet a character from the films was very cool. Now, I kind of always got the sense that the Oracle's apartment was supposed to be in one of these buildings. I think maybe the only reason I'm saying that, though, is in the very first cinematic for the Matrix Online, you do get a little scene in the Oracle's apartment, and it looks a lot like the interiors to these buildings here. But from memory, I don't think you can find the Oracle's apartment anywhere, really. Like, these apartments do vaguely kind of look like they could be the Oracle's apartment, like similar decor. These tiles are very familiar to me, the carpeting, the wallpaper, but none of them really comports exactly to the Oracle's apartment as seen in the films. Again, just you can see out the windows there to see what's going on out there. In fact, I don't know who they're supposed to be. The hell? That douche with his headphones? But yeah, I'm not going to take you through 4x4, but let's go up to the top just so we can see the court, the Burly Brawl court from another angle. Again, I just think it's such a cool little point of immersion that you can go into any building you want and explore it like this. Again, not a huge amount of variety, and there's not a lot to find there, but I like the spirit of what they were going for. Sorry the weather couldn't be better for our walking tour. I hope it's not affecting your enjoyment of the MegaCity at all. I mean, even just looking at it now, they really did capture a kind of mood that the Matrix films are known for. Not always, and not always flawlessly, but just little locations like this feels very authentic to the MegaCity depicted in the films, and I really appreciate that. I remember when I was playing, every Christmas you could have like snowball fights, like they'd have snow, and you could get like little snowball weapons that you could use to throw at each other. And I remember we had a big snowball fight at this court here. Very cool. The community of this game really was the best part about it. I miss it. I do. Anyway, I think we've seen enough of this. There's not much to see, but if you're a fan of the movies, you'll definitely have appreciated this. I know it. Right, let's continue. Let's move on. So we have technically three locations. I got a little bonus one for you at the end, but we've got two proper film locations left. This next one might be my favorite. It's the most famous club in the Matrix films, if that gives you a clue. Not that there's a huge amount to pick from. Your mind's probably going to go to one of two places, but we shall see. So we're just going to take this hard line over here, and we're going to go back to downtown. This time to a hard line in Hampton Green. Specifically, we want the Hampton Northwest hard line. Is it Northwest or Northwest Central? Northwest. And again, just to show, you can go into any building you like. Here's this one. And you know what? There's not a huge amount of variety among the buildings, but there is enough. I mean, it's not like you're walking into the same building over and over again. Anyway, right. Now, I'm pretty sure where we want to go is just on the other side of this building over here. These suit supervisors. I mean, these NPCs have levels, which makes me think that they were just like, you know, mobs that you could fight. The idea of you in your awakened glory beating the shit out of these female office workers is a little funny. Again, apologies the weather couldn't be better for you on this tour, but I don't think it'll take away from too much of the character of these locations we're going to visit. So this particular club, the feds again, more agents. Excuse me. Right, the club that we're going to is actually in a parking garage. And notice it's not on the map at all. So this location was not really advertised at all by the developers, but it is an iconic location from the films. From memory, you were brought here on some missions, and you should already recognize where it is we're going just from this entrance over here. It is Club Hell, which is the Merovingians Club from the Matrix Revolutions. It's where Trinity, Seraph, and Morpheus go to try and convince the Merovingian to let Neo go from the train station that he's stuck in at the start of that film. I really can't remember. Why was he stuck there? Anyway, but I mean, this is all very authentic, right down to that like red lighting. Quite cool. And again, they just filled this area with NPCs, I guess, to recapture a little bit of the life that would have been in this area when the Matrix Online was still live. Now, I think in the live version you would have taken this elevator down to the basement to get to the club. In this emulated version, there's a version of the club on every one of these floors, but floor 9, I think, is the only one that's been populated with NPCs. So here again, very recognizable, this entrance area. There's a great fight scene, a great waifu fight scene between Seraph, Morpheus, Trinity, and a bunch of the Merovingians' exiles here. Oh, even the music, ripped straight from the films. I think, is this the motorway chase music? I think it is. Anyway, Rhonda here, checking weapons, or handing them out, I don't know. What's she got to say? See you at the party, Richter. My name's not Richter. And we go through here, into the club proper. Very cool space. Obviously it looks quite different from the films when it's absolutely packed with people. Very sparsely populated here. We'll forgive them for that. I guess it was a tech limitation. This was made in 2003, 2004, I guess. But I do remember there were a lot of like player-organized parties, and they'd often be at this venue. So when this was packed, it was a lot of fun. I specifically remember there was a farewell party for a famous member of the community called Tasty Wheat, I think his name was, who I think he was just like a prominent member of the community in that he'd report bugs and stuff like that. Always like willing to help people, whatever. Something of a celebrity. Anyway, he got banned, would you believe it? I think he was either, I don't know, I think he was caught exploiting something, some bug, and they banned him outright. So all the players organized like one last send-off for him, which I remember attending and having a lot of fun with. It was very cool. But for now, so I think in the live version, most of these NPCs weren't here. Like, for instance, the Assassin. He was the main antagonist of the very first storyline of the Matrix Online. He's the guy that killed Morpheus. I don't know if you heard that. One of the biggest controversies of the early days of this game was they decided to kill Morpheus more or less right away, which very stupid to my money because there aren't that many characters left over from the movies that they could have made use of. Morpheus was really it. Neo and Trinity obviously dead. And then they got rid of Morpheus too, so very silly. But I don't know, kind of a cool design. Maybe a little bit too comic booky for the Matrix, but the writer of this was a comic book writer, so I don't know. And over here we got the train man, who I guess is supposed to be that exile that is governing the train station in Matrix Revolutions, the guy that stops Neo from leaving. Although in my memory he was an aged hobo, so I don't really know who this is supposed to be. And then up there, Ghost, Niobe, obviously from the second and third Matrix films, and the Enter the Matrix video game. Another beef I have with the developers of this game, they had these like famous movie characters like Ghost and Niobe, and they just like made like small weird inexplicable tweaks to their appearance. Like Ghost, he's bald weirdly. Niobe, she's got more hair. They just don't look anything like they really did in the films, and I don't know if they wanted to establish their own identity or what, but just seemed like a missed opportunity. I don't think it's like an IP thing, because like as we'll see over here, Morpheus looks exactly as he did in the film. This is an impressive model. I mean, this looks exactly like the Morpheus that I remember from the movies, right down to the texture of that overcoat that he's got on. Yeah, Colonel Sanders, I guess that's supposed to be the architect, maybe, although it doesn't look much like him. And I don't remember the architect really being in the Matrix Online, and if he was, I'm sure he wasn't called Colonel Sanders, so maybe this is just whoever made the emulator having a bit of fun. Don't really know who Dr. Nick is, don't know who Malphas is. Yeah, maybe a vampire, I guess one of the Merovingian's vampires. Don't think he was in the film. Anyway, let's go up to the stage area. Oh, look! The twins from Matrix Reloaded. I mean, they were very cool additions to those films. I like the idea of kind of the exiled programs kind of taking on the visage of, like, historical supernatural creatures. Or was it the other way around, that supernatural creatures are simply just exiled programs malfunctioning? I don't know. Either way, very cool. Level 50, so I could kick at least one of these guys' asses, probably. And the Merovingian himself and his beautiful wife, Persephone. No joke, you did used to be able to buy... I wonder if we can buy it from the bartender here, but you did used to be able to buy that orgasm cake from the Matrix Reloaded, where you eat it and it gives you makes you cum. You could buy that in-game. Don't think it made you cum in-game, but funny little quirk. One of the things I really like about these movie locations in this game is you kind of know where you're going. Like, they're well realized enough. Like, for instance, when you're coming down into this club, you know that if you want to find the Merovingian, you just need to find this elevated platform as depicted in the movies. And there you find them. Even with his little bodyguards sitting off to the side there. Very cool. I think as well, like I said, I don't think this club was actually a place that you could go to normally. I think it had to be as part of a mission, like certain missions, if you were working for the Merovingian, would send you here. It was like a reward if you get far enough down that quest line, that you get to come here for an audience with the Merovingian himself. And when players did want to have parties here, I think they just glitched it so that like one person would start that mission and then invite, you know, whoever was invited to the party to the mission to unlock this area for everybody. Very cool, really. That is it. There's not really anything more to this club than what's right here. I mean, there are those doors there. Oh, they are interactable, but I don't think there's any way to get up there. Can't hyper jump inside here. Can I open it from down here? No, I can't reach it. Oh, you can! Oh yeah, but it's just, you can see that it's just that wall texture. I've also noticed, I mean, what is this? Very Silent Hill-esque. I mean, that's maybe taking kinks a little bit too far for me, but who am I to judge? I don't know. Whatever floats your boat. Right, we've seen enough of Club Hell. I think we have. I mean, they've even got like the color scheme down. Those those green lasers I distinctly remember from the films. I appreciate it. It was clearly made by someone who paid a lot of attention to the films. Oh, I was going to check if we can buy the orgasm cake. We can't. We can't. Okay, fine. Do any of these people talk to us? These robots. I think at one point they introduced like, I think it was like programs that you could jack your character into for like training and stuff, and some of them took place in the Machine City. That's why these models exist. They weren't originally part of this club. Right, let's bust this joint. And we have one more film location to visit, and then a slight bonus, which we will end on. Let's get out of here. Hopefully it stopped raining. Nope, I can hear the rain. Right, we're going to take a left and just head to the nearest hard line. I You can already see it. And this time, we're going to the International District. And the International District, I guess, is the Matrix Online's take on Chinatown, Little Japan, something like that. I don't know. I'm not enough of an architectural aficionado to identify exactly what part of the world the International District is based on. It just looks vaguely Asian to me. And you're going to laugh when you hear the music. It's exactly what you're picturing. Let's just say that. Right, we want to go to Shinjuku, West Central. See what I mean about the music? It's pretty funny. I mean, it's fine, but it doesn't sound anything like something you would hear in a Matrix film, unlike a lot of the other soundtrack. You can see, I mean, the architecture is kind of the same everywhere, but there are little flares, little different color schemes, which adds up, I guess. Right, so we're going to visit the White Hallways. Remember the White Hallways from the Matrix Reloaded? This is where the Keymaker takes Neo and Morpheus into. Ostensibly, it's an area that's just a hallway filled with doors, and it's every door in the Matrix. It leads to any door you want to in the Matrix. But just to show you that there's no shenanigans here, just a regular building, right? Regular half Western, half Eastern building. We'll go inside. Very unremarkable, extremely Japanese. But just regular building, right? Wrong. If we go around to the side, and this wasn't always part of the game. I remember they patched this in relatively late, I want to say, in the game's life cycle. The ability to go to these white hallways. We go around to the side door here. I'm sure this person is going to tell us something about it. This door leads to backdoor areas. Program hallways. Elite commando programs who escaped from Merovingian holding constructs have taken over some of the halls, but if you can get past them and defeat their leaders, you'll capture some good gear. So I guess it was intended as kind of a dungeon or something. And I wish that you could just like open the door and walk right into the hallways, but unfortunately it does just teleport you when you use this. So, use White Hallway Door. And as we load in here, here we are. Unmistakable. Very iconic, really. An iconic location for the films. And you can kind of see on the map that it's not a very big area, but visually, just to look at, it does kind of trick you into thinking that you're in like endless hallways of doors. And I think there may be one other configuration to these floors that you can, I guess it's just by random luck, get into. But really all you're doing is using these white hallways doors over and over again. This should just spawn me back to the start. Yeah, see, exactly the same. I guess the idea is that it's not the exact same hallway, it's just that you're going through this endless series of doors, going through an endless series of white corridors. And I think it might be totally by chance how many times you have to do this before you're dumped back onto the street. Again, I know that there's another configuration for this hallway that you can sometimes get into, but I don't know what you have to do to get there. And based on what that pouncer at the door said, this would probably be filled with enemies that you have to fight your way through. But we are able to make our way past unmolested. Yeah, again. Maybe this is just my life now. Endless hallways and endless doors. I'm never getting out. Again, love the music. Very iconic from the films. Oh, here we go, yeah. And here we are. Dumped back on the sidewalk over here. In Shinjuku. We are 5 feet off the ground. Don't really know why that happens, but our next destination is actually in this district. So I don't want to go too far, but I am just going to use a hard line to respawn so we're not floating anymore. Where did I say? Shinjuku West Central, right? Great. So, that was the last film location for the Matrix films, but there is just a little Easter egg that I want to show you that they included. I was very excited when I found this, when I was playing, wasn't expecting it at all. It's a location not from the Matrix films, but from another very famous film series. Just cut through this building here. And we're headed here. Now, from the exterior, you probably can't identify what this is supposed to be, but as soon as we walk through the door, if you've seen this film, you'll definitely recognize it. Also, these pigeons. I mean, what pigeon have you ever seen move like that? That's quite funny, really. Like, just keep them on the ground if that's all you can do with them. That looks ridiculous. Anyway, right, I digress. Come. And into this building here. We walk through, and where do we find ourselves? But you recognize it? It's the House of Blue Leaves from Kill Bill Volume 1. This is where the bride goes to confront Oren Ishii and her personal bodyguard, the Crazy 88. So you have that amazing fight scene where she's just laying waste to Oren's personal bodyguard. Very bloody scene, one of my favorite fight scenes in cinema. And this is a pretty faithful recreation of the House of Blue Leaves, actually. I mean, you've got the bar over there where it should be, this little stage area where the 5, 6, 7, 8s play. Is that the name? Was it the 1, 2, 3, 4s? I don't know. But the band that's playing in that scene, set up there at the front. You know, the dual stairways. I remember there were some water features here in the movie, because I remember the bride throwing bodies into it, but whatever, can't have everything. These doors up here, which I guess, based on the movie, should lead to where Oren is hanging out with her bodyguards, don't actually lead anywhere. I'm not sure if this suggests that at some point there was a mission in this building, that maybe there would be like an instanced area behind this door. I don't think so, though. And you can also go out back, but it's not going to lead you to a beautiful snowy Zen garden like it would in the film. It just leads you to the filthy back alley of the International District. Pretty cool, huh? Anyway, like I said, I almost died of excitement when I realized that they had recreated this in the Matrix, of all places. Unless I'm missing something and that venue is famous for something other than Kill Bill, because, I mean, it is a pretty obscure reference for a Matrix game to make, just a random area from Kill Bill Volume 1, but it is here, and very cool. Anyway, there you have it. This concludes our walking tour around famous landmarks from the Matrix films in the Matrix Online. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope it's maybe been a bit of a boost of nostalgia if there's any former MXO players here. Drop a comment if you are. If there's somewhere that, like a memory that you have from the Matrix, an area that you're particularly fond of, definitely let me know, and I'm happy to go and do a little recording so I can show that to you. And if you want to come here yourself, like I said, super easy to set up these days. Just go to, I think it's mxoemu.info, that is, .info. And it's literally just as simple as signing up for an account there, downloading the software client, updating it, you log in using your mxoemu login details, and you're in. Until next time, I guess. Thanks for joining me. Hope you've had a good time.